Yeah! Come on! Hey, hey, hey! Come on, come on! Uncle Keith's Corner is in the building. Historically black scent. Come on. Hey! Hey! Come on! Hey! Yeah! Uncle Keith's Corner is in the building. Historically black skin. Fight the power. 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 Come on. Fight the power. Come on. Fight the power. We got to fight the power, don't we? Hey! Hey, well, good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening. Welcome to another edition of and another episode of Uncle Keith's Corner. Uncle Keith's Corner right here on Historically Black Sense. And of course, I'm representing the Tuskegee University, 1881 Tuskegee University. So that lets you know that my guest tonight is going to be representing Tuskegee University as well. I know that you all have heard the news. And first of all, let me say this. It is a wonderful Wednesday. On Tuesday, you had a trailblazing Tuesday. And on Monday, what is Monday? My optimism now declares a yes. My optimism now declares a yes. That's Monday. Tomorrow, we will have a transformational Thursday. Transformational Thursday, as so many families will be celebrating Thanksgiving. Now, let me say that here at Historically Black Sense, Uncle Keith's Corner, we don't celebrate Thanksgiving in the Western traditional sense because we know that's not historically accurate. But we do celebrate families coming together. We do celebrate families coming together. And so then you're going to have a fabulous Friday. You're going to have a soaring, significant Saturday and a serenity-filled Sunday where you're going to have your peace. Don't lease your peace. Don't lease your peace. And wherever you are, whatever platform you are, if you're joining us on StreamYard tonight, YouTube or Facebook, good evening, good evening, good evening. People of purpose. Uncle Keith's Corner is in the building. Historically Black Sense. Guess what? Historically Black Sense is the premier platform for everything HBCU. HBCU culture, the Divine Nine in Greek life, the history of HBCUs, just everything HBCU, the most engaging platform out there. And listen, there are a lot of great platforms out there that focus on HBCUs, and we love them all. But Historically Black Sense is definitely the most engaging platform for everything HBCU and excellence in the African and African-American diaspora. So listen, I know by now you all have heard the news. One word brought me to tears today. One word, guilty. That one word brought me to tears today. Guilty. That's right. McMichael, and the other individual, all three were found guilty in the senseless killing of the promising prince, Ahmaud Arbery. Wow. And, you know, it just brought a lot of emotions out of me, and I'm sure so many of you, because if you're like me, I was sitting on the edge of my seat because I honestly did not expect a guilty verdict. Okay, all right. The history of this nation shows you and has shown me I fully expected these three heinous wannabe vigilantes to get off and walk after committing this malicious crime against this promising prince who had so much ahead of him. So they have been found guilty. And at this point, justice will really be served when the correct sentence is handed down, when the correct sentence is handed down. So listen, I'm keeping the Arbery family lifted, and all of those foot soldiers on the ground there in Brunswick, Georgia, and Glenn County, and the entire coastal empire who had their feet on the ground, who've been out there at the courthouse every single day, persevering, being resilient, supporting the family, and just standing by, waiting on justice to be served. If it's one thing we've learned in the African American community, justice equals just us. So we have to keep on fighting. And I say this, I put a hashtag in my Instagram story at Keith L. Brown _ Keith L. Brown _ I put these hashtags in my Instagram story: for Emmett Till, for Trayvon Martin, for so many, because there's so many who have been senselessly murdered at the hands of these wannabe vigilantes, okay, who look like me, who look like my son, who look like my guest, who is going to just empower you tonight. So many have been killed, and we don't know those names. So while we were very pleased with the verdict that was rendered on today, surprising verdict, if I may say so, we still have much work to do, and we still have to fight. We still have to be advocates of social justice, educational justice, equity, and the whole 9 yards. So listen, prayers up for the Aubrey family, prayers up for the struggle, prayers up to all of you. And what you definitely need to do as you prepare to gather on tomorrow with family, if you have young Black males in your family, and many of you do, like me, when you're seated around that table, preparing to eat, regardless of your faith, when you're seated around and sitting around that table, talk to your Black sons, Black nephews, Black brothers, Black cousins. Talk to them and let them know the reality that still exists in America. This young man was simply exercising his freedoms, his constitutional right. He was simply working out, running, and he was hunted down like an animal, and he was murdered. So we want our young Black males to be careful out there. We want you to be safe. We want you to be focused. We want you to use that third eye, which gives you that extra vision so that you can be protected as much as possible. Have that conversation with them and remind all young Black males that you are still God's children and America's orphans. If these times have taught us nothing else, you are still, and we are still, God's children and America's orphans. I need y'all to stand by. Uncle Keith's Corner is going to be right back. We got some bills to pay, but we're going to be coming right back with an internationally known speaker who's inspiring the masses nationally and globally. Don't you go anywhere. Uncle Keith's Corner right here on Historically Black Sense, the premier platform for everything HBCU. We'll be right back. Yes. Welcome back. Welcome back to another episode of Uncle Keith's Corner right here on Historically Black Sense. And I need y'all to put on your symbolic seatbelts. Y'all better put your seatbelts on right now. And before you put your seatbelt, and while you're putting your seatbelts on, let me give a shout out to advocating Adrena Martin, who is the founder and visionary of Historically Black Sense, a wonderful woman of purpose and excellence who has hundreds of thousands of followers who are following her because of her advocacy, her innovation, and her excellence. So wherever you are, go ahead and put your hands together right now for advocating admirable Adrena Martin, Tuskegee University alum, founder of Historically Black Sense. What's up, Tuskegee? What's up, Tuskegee? You're going to be proud tonight. You're going to be proud like James Brown said it. Say it loud. I'm Black and I'm proud. Because coming to the platform on tonight, my little brother, nephew, just an empowered speaker has a motto that says, run towards your dreams. Oh my God. He didn't say crawl towards your dreams. He didn't say walk towards your dreams. He said you have to run towards your dreams. He hails from the great city of purposeful Pontiac, Michigan. He's an internationally acclaimed speaker who motivates the masses. He empowers all ages and demographics. He is a proud alum of the Tuskegee University. His first name is William. The W stands for wise. The I stands for innovator. The L stands for lifter. The L stands for leader. The I stands for inspiring. The A stands for advocate. And the M stands for motivator. Wherever you are, I want you to stand on your feet. And I want you to welcome internationally known speaker, wise William King Hollis. Let's bring him in. Oh, yeah. Oh, bring him in, bring him in, bring him in. Bring him in, bring him in. William King Hollis. Hey!
Y'all gonna make me lose my mind. Up in there, up in there. Y'all gonna make me go all out. Up in there, up in there. Y'all gonna make me act the fool. Up in there,
hey,
up
hey.
in there. Y'all
Check it,
gonna make
check
me
it.
lose my cool. Up
Check
in
it,
there,
check it.
up in there. I got to bring it to you, cowards in this
William Hollis. His name is King. He's stepping to the mic. About to do his thing. No need for solace. It's William King Hollis. He's not a clone. He's a speaker internationally known. Hey! What's up, nephew? What's up, little bro?
Hey, listen.
Yeah.
That was the greatest introduction I've ever seen on planet Earth, my brother. I'm telling you, I was sitting over here like the audience, like, man, this dude is absolutely powerful and phenomenal.
Man, I love you too, little bruh, nephew. You are just inspiring the masses nationally and globally. I love the moniker, run towards your dreams. Run towards your dreams. You have such a powerful story. Man, go ahead and introduce yourself in your own way. And I want you to elaborate a little more on the Ahmaud Arbery outcome today. And then I know you have a powerful story that you're going to share. This is going to be an hour of power. I just want you all right now. Y'all need to text. You need to do whatever you have to do. Get on the phone. You need to text. But whatever you do here on Historically Black Sense, Uncle Keith's Corner, you need to let them know that William King Hollis is in the building. Internationally acclaimed speaker. He is in the building tonight. So make it happen right now. Go ahead, King.
Well, how are you doing, Royal Family? I am international motivational speaker William King Hollis, a best-selling author, a platinum recording artist. I'm actually one of the first speakers to release go over 1 million streams on an album for spoken word. Honestly, been doing so many things through the grace of God that gives me everything that I have. I just know that it is truly an honor to be on here today, and I want to thank everybody for listening. Far as the case that's going on in the United States right now, for me, it's bittersweet because Mr. Aubrey lost his life. He no longer has his life. He no longer can see his family. He no longer can build that legacy that I know that he had for himself. And too many times in our community, I feel like we go harder for the people to be convicted than keeping the people alive. And I think the lesson that I learned, and I think we're all learning at this present time, is definitely time to go just as hard to keep our kings and queens alive and on this earth and protected. Most importantly, it's just really time for us to give that energy to keeping our kids and our kings and our queens alive. And that's what I'm more focused on going towards in the future. My condolences to the Aubrey family and what they have to go through and what millions of African American mothers and fathers have to go through every day. Either it's through black on black crime or a police officer taking us out. There was a great man that said, if we keep killing each other and they keep killing us, soon there will be no more of us. So I think it is truly a state of emergency for the black man and the black woman and the black people as a whole.
Wow, man, that's so deep what you said, brother, because at the end of the day, we would love to replace the hashtags with their lives. Yeah, we would love to replace those hashtags with their lives. And here it is. November is Men's Health Awareness Month. November is Men's Health Awareness Month. You know, I know you know a great man who said, don't live to eat, but eat to live. You know, yeah. That's right. That's right. Don't live to eat, but eat to live. And so, you know, even with diet and nutrition and all of that, Men's Health Awareness also focus on mental health. And we talked some about mental health last week as we had the Brothers of Omega Psi Phi fraternity, my fraternity brothers, on last week as we celebrated Founders Day. And we talked some about mental health. But, man, just the overwhelming response was that we had to talk more about mental health in the Black community in general, but with Black men in particular. And listen, I could not think of anyone to bring on that was more powerful or had the story that you have. And so I need the listeners right now, the audience, I need y'all to tap in. I need y'all to tap in right now, because this is one of those moments you don't want to miss. If you have young Black males in your home right now, you need to get them on this platform. And there are some Black men who are in your home right now watching Sports Center and everything like that. Y'all need to get them on this platform right now, because I know they might be watching highlights of football, but listen, we have come to touch down. Okay, we have come to touch down to help bring sanity, okay, to our brothers. Sanity to our brothers and sisters. And listen, William King Hollis, man, you could have easily decided not to be an international motivational speaker. You could have easily gone the other way. I need to hear your story. They deserve to hear your story and what drove you to go from there to here. In other words, what took you from impossible, as I say, what took you from impossible to I'm possible? What took you from impossible to I'm possible? Talk to us, brother.
Well, you guys, I started off like a lot of inner city kids in America, practically raising themselves. Mothers, a child in reality, growing into a woman. Fathers, a boy growing into a man. And a lot of times in our generation and in our community, we go through this. So by going through this, my mother started off in a house with my great-grandmother. My great-grandmother moved from Monroe, Louisiana, to Pontiac, Michigan. At first, she moved down there and she started running numbers, and ultimately got off into cooking crack and selling drugs. She had about close to 9 to 10 children total. Taught all of them how to cook crack and how to sell dope. My mother was 14 years old in her own trap house selling dope. So what I'm basically saying is I was literally born into, a drug dealing family. A family, as I use in my speeches a lot, I was born in a place where the family tree was rotten. Um, as my mother grew up and she gave birth to me at 16 years old, I didn't know that my mother had struggled with mental depression because her father had molested her as a child. And my mother did such an amazing job covering it up. But like a lot of sisters in America, and growing up in our households, it blew my mind the fact that they didn't want her to speak up. They didn't want her to go to the police or do all these things that she was supposed to do. And in return, it caused a lifelong use of drugs. and that drug was started off as crack, and then it turned into heroin. Man, I remember days where, you know, my mom and her friends will go out to the park to play for the day, and we'll be over there eating a bag of chips that they got from us from the store, and they over in another area getting high. I literally, as a young man, I literally had one goal, and that was to save that beautiful woman life, Shalonda Jones, my mother. And in the process of that, I had a lot of anger issues. My father was incarcerated, was a career criminal, and in the process of that, I grew up bouncing back and forth between my grandmother's house and my mom's house. My mom would get better, and then she'll fall back off. But every single time she got better, that was the only place me and my brothers and my sister wanted to be. We wanted to be with our mother. We practically grew up. We practically grew up together. So during this time, I struggled in school with anger issues, with fighting with other students and doing all this crazy nonsense, basically trying to find a place to put my anger. And one day, my counselor at my school, at my elementary school, introduced me to football. And the first day I went out to football practice, my auntie Marnie, shout out to my auntie Marnie, took me and my little brother out to the football field. And I remember the coach had me try out and do a couple sprints and basically show him how I moved around. And the first practice, he said, I'm gonna let him use some equipment, but it costs to pay for this equipment. At the time, I was literally bouncing back to my grandmother's house. My mother had got strung out on drugs really bad again. And when I went out there, I did a play, lined me up at linebacker. A guy came across the middle. I knocked his helmet off. At the end of the practice, the coach said, I'm going to give him his equipment for free. And I told him that if my brother can't play, I can't play. And he gave my little brother his helmet and his shoulder pads, gave me my helmet and shoulder pads. And every day I came to practice, my coach learned more and more about my story. And he said, Will, if you dedicate your life to this game, you can save your mama life. So literally at 9 to 10 years old, the only thing I'm thinking about is saving my mama. I'm not thinking about toys. I'm not thinking about video games. I'm thinking about saving my mother. That was the only thing that was on my mind. And all praise due to Allah for that mentality that I had as a kid. And, you know, as I continued to play, I turned into an all-state football player. And my cousin was playing with the San Diego Chargers down in San Diego, Sam Rogers. And he came down to see me play a game and was like, I got to get Will out of here. Will don't get out of here, he going to die here. And he basically took me from my mom. My mom was, you know, I remember the day she cried. And she was like, I always knew that this was what you was going to have to do to make it out of here, and I'm not going to stop you. And she allowed my cousin to take me to Los Angeles. I remember the first night getting to LA. I had a big bedroom. It was literally like Will Smith from Fresh Bel-Air. I was living in Marina Del Rey, California. And I remember the first night, man, I got out the bed and I slept on the floor because I wasn't used to it. And I was thinking about my brother. I was thinking about my sister. I didn't want to be comfortable because they wasn't comfortable. And it played with my mind. And mind you got to remember, I was a kid breaking out of houses, sleeping in crack houses with my mom to protect her. You feel me? I was always, she called me the chosen one. And when I remember a time before I left to play football, and I can't leave this story out. It was a time where this was considered our Disneyland. My mom was working at a senior citizen home, and she would go to work. And I remember she was there for about 3 months. And I remember this was what kept my mother off drugs. And I learned the reason why my mom abused drugs was because she couldn't take care of her babies the way she wanted to. This is where I learned the saying where I say it's two types of people on this earth. There's people that's addicted to taking, and there's people that's addicted to giving. I got it honest. I'm addicted to giving. My mother was addicted to giving. If she couldn't give, she couldn't breathe. And when my mother had that job, I remember she would come home with her paycheck on Friday with pride. We would walk down when Blockbuster was still open. We would walk down to Blockbuster. I always walk with her. I walk down to Blockbuster. We'd get a movie. We'd go over to Rocket Pizza. It was called a Big Mama Pizza. It was humongous pizza. Not a lot, but a lot of food for her babies and her big boys. And we would sit in the living room. We would watch movies together, man. That was our family vacation. That was the greatest moments of my childhood. The moments right there. And when I got to LA, I had an attachment. Me and my mother, we had soul ties. And I would go and work hard every single day. And one day, and it's a kid out there that's watching this. One day I was out in California and I was far away from home. I'm missing it. I'm fighting with the players on the team. I'm cussing at the coaches. And my cousin pulled me in the locker room. And he said, Will, if you go back home, you're going to die there. If you want to save your family, you're going to stay here. And the day after we left that practice, I kept saying, I ain't got my daddy. I ain't got this. My mama on drugs. I'm all I got. And my cousin grew up similar. And at this time, like I said, he's an NFL player. He pull up to the bank. He pull out $10,000 to $15,000 and slam it on the middle console and said, me too. Now, what's your excuse? And when he did that, it changed my life forever. It made me never really look down on myself or never feel pity for where I'm at, because a black man in this world, he ain't really got the time to feel sorry for himself, because everybody already tearing him down. Everybody already fighting with him and telling him what he can't accomplish or who he gonna grow up to be like. So you gotta have faith in God, and that's the day that I put my life, my whole way faith in God. Some people got that halfway faith. I always had that whole way faith. And as I continue to play football, I struggled with school, and how I even got enrolled in high school in Los Angeles when I went there is my biological father went to the school and talked to the assistant principal and had him change my transcripts. He said, if you don't change my son's transcripts, my son will end up in other statistics. I ain't gonna say the person name who changed the subject because I love him to this day. I love him. I don't know if it can get him in trouble. But he changed my transcripts, and that's the reason why I believe that I'm still standing here in front of you guys today, because he gave me that start. But I went there, became an All-American in my first season, all-state football player, all-star game, scholarships, partials from USC, full scholarships from Oregon, full scholarship from UCLA, Boise State, all the top schools. I was getting all that stuff. But going into the SAT or going into the SAT test, my cousin, they had put me in line with one of my coaches. I ain't gonna lie to you, I was gonna cheat to try to make it happen because I had a learning disability. A lot of people didn't know I couldn't read until I was 16 years old. So I'm in school. I never knew how to read a playbook. I was All-American off instincts. So I literally done everything off watching and learning. So my coach put me in the line, and this was God. He came out, the assistant principal came out and said, William, switch lines, switch me out of lines. That changed my whole trajectory of my life right there. God said, no, I ain't gonna make it easy on you. I'm gonna make it hard on you. So I went there, bombed the SAT test, had to go to junior college, went to West LA Community College when I went in and played football. Had a great first season at West LA, broke the single season sack record for West LA Community College. I was 17 years old, probably the first 4 games I was there. I was one of the youngest players on the team, dominated, did a great job. Actually, my cousin Sam Rogers had played there. He had went to junior college as well through the same process. So I went in there, heralded, got family, go into the coach's office at the end of the season and drop marijuana in the coach's office. Yes, dropped marijuana in the coach's office. Coach picked it up. It was a new coach. He said, William, you either got to sit out a year or go to another school. I said, I got a whole family to save. I can't sit out, coach. I can't. I'm sorry. I said, coach, you know my life. I smoked that. I smoked that sometime for my medicine. That was for me to just keep my sanity, just keep going to class, keep going to college, keep doing what I'm doing. And my coach was like, that ain't the way. So he banned me from the school. And then I went and got a call from the #1 junior college in the nation, El Camino Junior College. John Featherstone took me in and He knew a little bit about my story. He's one of the winningest coaches in Los Angeles history. Was offered USC job before Pete Carroll and all of these guys. He's a legend. And he took me in, and he did a great job of loving the king at where he was. I went to class, struggled with school, struggled with class again, dominated on the field, All-American as usual. At this time, we're living in an abandoned house in Santa Monica, man. I'm talking about every night we got to cover up in blankets to keep the black widows, the black widows from biting us, King. And a lot of people who know junior college know when you go to junior college, you don't get no dormitories or none of that. You got to survive on your own and show up to class and go play football. It's all about you wanting it. So I would do that every single day, King, until the end of the season. And I told the coach that, he asked me how good my grades was. I showed him. He said, Will, you can't even get into college with this. This when God stepped in again. All my D1 schools fell off. University of Central Missouri called me and said, yo, Will, do you want to play football? I said, Coach, I ain't got no grade. He said, William Hollis, do you want to play football? I said, Coach, I don't got no grades. So I'm going to ask you one more time, do you want to play football? I said, yes, sir. He told me not to worry about the grades. Once again, I was in college. I don't know how I got in, but I got in. This was all off football. It was all off talent of football. And that's why I thank God for what he did with me. And when I got to that point, I went into the spring, dominated. Was the what was the something like the rookie of the camp, a football camp. Like I stole the show, dominated, but it was this Caucasian defensive end that was a senior. I was a junior, and he basically didn't want to allow me to start, and I beat him out fairly and squarely. So the coach came to me in the locker room, was like, Will, we don't think you're smart enough to learn the playbook, do this. I spazzed on the coach. I said, I've been an All-American. I dominated all these guys, and at this time, I'm young, I'm emotional. It's tearing me up that he's telling me this. And he said, I'm gonna release you to a black college. He said, I'll release you to any school, but only a black college. At this time, I knew nothing about black college. I knew nothing at all. And I said, cool, anywhere I could go, I get out of here. I sent some emails off, and a coach named Kelvin Powell, the legendary linebacker at Tuskegee University, the greatest linebacker at Tuskegee University history. Kelvin Powell told me, son, come with me at Clark Atlanta. And Keith Higgins said, yeah, come with him. We're going to take care of you. So they brought me into Clark Atlanta. I went down there and played great ball, man. I'm talking about nominated for the D2 Heisman Trophy, top NFL, top 25 NFL draft class, top 25 inside linebackers. Dominated against Raymond Moore, who went on to play with the Baltimore Ravens and played at Morehouse. That's how I got on the radar. And Kevin Powell turned me into a heck of a linebacker. Definitely was preparing me for the NFL. And going into that spring of that following season, our coach got fired, and I had got a young woman pregnant, the mother of my child, with my first daughter, Halo, Hollis, my baby. She was pregnant up at Clark, and I actually was basically losing myself out there. I wasn't focused anymore. Clark Atlanta was fast. I was having a blast. I was a star linebacker. I mean, I started going to the strip club, then coming to the games. I was just all out of control, and I was forgetting the purpose of why I even did this. That was to save my mama. And I basically, when my daughter was being conceived, I basically did a pivot in life, and I was like, I need to go somewhere else. So I chose to leave Clark Atlanta and end up going to the University of North Alabama, where Terry Bowden had recruited me. He had brought me down on a recruiting trip, took me on my first boat ride, grabbed lobsters out of the lobster tank, and it was just first class, man. All the D1 boys was coming down there. And I went down there and enrolled, dominated against all the D1 boys he had coming in. He had that stigma at HBCU, but I held it down definitely. I started doing well, was going into the spring, get ready to play my season. Went off to Boston, Massachusetts, got a call saying my daughter Halo was being born, went down to Boston, Massachusetts to give birth to her. And we gave birth to her, and the day after she was born, the mother of my child, mom, was paralyzed in a car accident. So The mother of my child just graduated from Clark Atlanta University and was going home to live with her mom, which her mom was a registered nurse, pretty well off. And because her mom was hurt and she was getting ready to take a job with, I think it was Reebok or Adidas or something like that, Adidas, I believe. She didn't have no time to even, she couldn't even take the job because she had to become a caretaker to her mother. So she became a caretaker to her mother. And when I went back to North Alabama, she called me and said, Will, I need you to be a father to your daughter. I don't have nobody. So literally.
Stop right there. Stop right there. I love this. This is so deep. And I know it's much more to the story. But I have to interject for a moment. And don't you lose your place. Because I mean, well, absolutely. I love that. You're not going to ever lose your place. Okay.
Yes, sir.
But I need our listeners to understand that a lot of your story centers around this word right here. This word right here, compassion. I need them to see that rock, compassion. Compassion for your mother. You said your purpose, your why. See, there are two great days in your life, when you were born and when you discover why you were born. Your why was discovered when you were a little boy. You said, I want to get my mother out of here. I love my mother so much. I want to sacrifice for my mother. You did that as a little boy. I need the listeners to understand how powerful that is. Your mother, and then you said something that just made my heart leap. You said, I got out of the bed and I slept on the floor because my brother and sister were not comfortable. And if they weren't comfortable, I wasn't going to be comfortable. Once again, let's go back to this rock. Compassion. And then when I take off the COM, William, you got passion. And everything you did it with passion. Every time you played football, you did it with passion. When you were listening to your cousin, you did it with passion. It seems like everything you did, but the one thing that really sticks out to me and makes my heart leap, you attributed everything to God. You said, once again, God put me in a place where I didn't feel I should be. God set it up for me. God did this. God did that. Man, that is so powerful. And you knew this as a 9-year-old. You knew this as a junior high school student. You knew this as a high school scholar. You knew this when you were at the junior college or wherever you were. You knew that. And now you have Halo. You have Halo. Yep. You're at the University of North Alabama. I believe that's in Florence, Alabama. Helen, yes, shout out to Helen Keller. Shout out to Helen Keller, right? Yes. Right. So there you are in the city that's made infamous by Helen Keller, who was blind. But here you are, you had sight. And not only did you have sight, you had vision and you had Halo. Yes. What happened then? What happened at that point? Because you've exhibited compassion. All of this, you've exhibited this for your mother, the love for your siblings, man, at a young age. You've always been passionate. And this is what you said. You said you're addicted to two things. Either you're addicted to taking or giving, right? You said I was addicted to giving. And right now, you have your daughter. You're at the University of North Alabama, right? Take us to, because it's obvious. It's obvious that your story is powerful. It's obvious that you're resilient. It's obvious that you need to be speaking at schools and colleges all over the country. That's obvious. And I'm sure that people are going to be reaching out after this interview tonight on Uncle Keith's Corner right here on Historically Black Sense. But let's go ahead and take us right there at Halo, right there to North Alabama. Go ahead, King. Powerful.
Well, when Halo was born, Terry Boughton said, William, you my star linebacker. I brought you here for a reason. I'll put you up in the house. I'll get you daycare. But because she had to become a caretaker of her mom, I had to leave school. And when I remember cleaning out my dorm room, I called my mother and I told my mom that I had to leave school. My mom was waiting on me, just like I was fighting to save her. She was waiting for me. And I told her, I was like, Mom, I'm almost there. I'm almost there. And when I called her and told her about the situation, God made me literally pick between my mother and my daughter. And it was the hardest decision I ever had in my life because I love both of them. One was a new love. One was a love that I had developed since I was a little baby for that beautiful woman. So I had to end up leaving school, and my mother told me on the phone that she was proud of me and that I didn't let her down and that you made a name for our family and I'll never forget it. It was almost as if she was telling me goodbye. It was almost just like that. And I went to Boston, got a job as a therapeutic assistant at a senior citizen home, and basically worked with the patients. Um, every day I would go in the closet and cry and think about my football career and think about my mom, thinking about how I can still make this happen. And I got everything together down in Boston, got the mother of my child situated in the home, got everything set up, and I end up calling Keith Higdon at Tuskegee University and saying, "Coach, I need an opportunity. I finally got everything situated in Boston, uh, and I need I need an opportunity to play football, Coach. Just a year ago, I was an All-American. I still got it in me." So Coach Higg allowed me to go down there. I actually went and slept. Got on Facebook and looked up Tuskegee football. Saw some football players on there. Told them about me. They actually had played against me. I actually had an interception and a touchdown against Tuskegee when I was at Clark. So they remember when I scored on them. So I told the boys, I was like, "Look, I need you to look out for me, man." And then Coach Powell also put a word in for me as well. So I went down there with, uh, I went down there. My bad, I skipped a major point. Before I went to Tuskegee, I called him and told him I needed an opportunity. He agreed to give me that opportunity. Then I flew back to Los Angeles to train with my cousin Sam Rogers, the one that played in the league. And probably a week into training, I get a phone call saying that William mom passed of a heroin overdose in the crack house, foam from her eyes and foam from her mouth. My mom died alone at 37 years old. And in that room that day, a lot of things changed for me. I didn't really know if I really wanted to play football anymore. I lost half my heart, half my mind, and half my soul, and didn't want to be here anymore, didn't want to live anymore. Imagine somebody taking all of your inspiration and killing it. And you made this one thing your inspiration. This is the one thing that gets you up when you're tired, when your body beat up, when your mind is depressed. It was mama. And when I lost my mom, God did something. He did something for me. And he started to take football away from me slowly but surely. So I went down to Tuskegee with a cousin that had to drop off some heroin down in Birmingham. We dropped that off, and then he dropped me up down the street to Tuskegee. That's the only way I got a ride to Tuskegee. I didn't have a scholarship. Coach Higgins said, "I can give you an opportunity, but I can't give you a scholarship. You got to earn that one." And I went down there and Facebooked a couple players. A player let me sleep on his floor. He had a little extra room in the house that had dog cages. I was sleeping next to the dog cage every night until I finished the summer. After I finished the summer, I had a full scholarship for Tuskegee University. And I came literally right after burying my mother. I came from my mother's funeral and rode at Tuskegee University. And when I went down there, Tuskegee started to teach me about what real family was, what real Black unity looked like, and a community that you had so much pride to go out there and work hard for and make pride in any capacity of being on the campus, because it's not really the university, it's the city, it's the people. And I always was the kid that was with the locals, they called them. I love the locals. I love the people. Shout out to Tiffany Cole, the judge, my auntie, and Jermaine Cole, he's from Pontiac, Michigan, that took me in as a family. Actually, on the homecoming game, they walked me on the field to get the football that what my mom and my dad was supposed to walk me on the field and do. Far as football, I had a lot of disputes with certain coaches. One coach in particular that gave me a hard time. Mind you, I had a full scholarship, and this coach had did a little research on my family and the background of my father. And he, some days he'd call me a thug and call me out my name. And I would just tell him sometimes, if you knew how far I came, black man, if you knew where I come from hell, black man. for me to be here. And I was always very mature for my age. I had a very, very bright aura and personality that wasn't really like a student on the campus. I was always like an OG. You feel what I'm saying? I had to grow up fast. I ain't play no video games. I don't play games. So I only thought about life on that campus, and when I was, and because of the altercation between the coaches, I ended up exiting the team before the season ended and making an arena team, professional arena team, with like 6 games left in college football. I went out and beat out a couple NFL players in arena and started playing ball there. Slowly but shortly, God, like I said, he started to take football away from me. And I went down there and realized that I never got over my mother's death. And in the middle of the season, some things started happening with my family, and I mentally broke down. The coach was like, Will, I got to send you home because your mental is bad. You can play some ball, but I care about your life more. And I was going through these suicidal states, ready to take my life. And I remember flying back to Michigan, sleeping on my sister's couch every day. And I just went through a bad breakup and a whole bunch of things. And I'm sitting there on her couch, and my sister would give me my little nephew YMCA card, and say, "Go work out, go do something, get back in the game. Your career ain't over with." And she's like, "You can lose your mama, you can lose anything else." And that was the words that lifted me off my feet. I went to the gym and worked out for a whole month straight. A kid that my mother used to take up for in middle school, was a world-renowned bodybuilder in Toronto, Canada at the time. Saw me writing messages online. I was writing like suicidal type messages, really just depressed. And he was like, "Your mother used to take up for me when kids picked on me as a kid. Now it's my turn to repay her and help you." He drove down from Toronto, Canada. We drove through the Detroit border, took me to Toronto, Canada, trained me up to the strongest I've ever been in my entire life. As a man in football, I was jacked, man. I was about 255 pounds, all muscle, had trials with the Toronto Argonauts. A month into staying there, he got locked up for tax evasion. I didn't want to go back home so bad, King. I stayed homeless in Toronto. End up getting caught grabbing some stuff on top of the garbage can in the Mississauga Mall. And an old Jamaican lady looked over at me and was like, "You're too handsome and too young. What's wrong, baby?" And this is God. She took me in, called up her niece. A niece allowed me to stay in the house. Literally, I'm a stranger. And the reason they found out, and I'm gonna tell you, this is very powerful. This is God working. When I went down there, she said, "I want to pick you up." I didn't tell her I was homeless. She picked me up from the Mississauga train station. So when she picked me up from the train station, I throw my bag in the back of the bushes. She picked me up and took me to church. The first sermon the preacher talked about is appointments. And he said, life is all about appointments, ladies and gentlemen. If you miss those appointments, you will miss the things that God has for you. Trust your journey and trust the appointments that God sets in your life. And I will never forget that message. So I kept going and I kept going. And I trained and I kept training. The gym that my trainer had me at, they allowed me to keep working out and to keep training in the gym that my trainer was taking me to. So I remember boarding the plane and coming back. And at first place I came back to was Tuskegee University. I remember on the field house was a shed. And when I first got back in town, a coach was supposed to pick me up and take me to my new team, but the team had been postponed for 2 weeks. So I was homeless in Tuskegee. I was sleeping in the shed on the top of the hill by a football field. I was sleeping in the shed every night.
Wow.
Every night until they told me I was able to come down and play football. So I went down there and to the Rome Fire down in Rome, Georgia. The Georgia Fire, that was the team. They promised me everything. They gave me a home. I was homeless. That was all I had. I left Canada homeless back into the United States. Had no money, had nothing. I had nothing. Went down after I got out of there. I went down to Rome, Georgia, worked out. They was feeding us ramen noodles. At this time, I found out I had high blood pressure. Going into a week before the game, I had a mini stroke at home When I left practice, couldn't tell the coaches because I would have been homeless, right? So what happened was, when I went out and played the game, I played the worst football game of my life. They cut me. I was homeless again, Mr. Brown. When I left out of there, I called the mother of my child back in Boston and asked her. I had no money. I said, can you please give me a bus ticket to Trenton, New Jersey? I got an opportunity to go out here and make the team. So I went back out there. I took a bus out there, no money, no food. They picked me up, gave me a bagel, put me on the field out in Trenton, New Jersey, dominated. Had a great practice. I was on the team. The next game, following game I played was on Mother's Day. I broke the single game sack record, 6.5 sacks on Mother's Day in Arena Football League. Man, you only get 2 seconds to get to the quarterback. Literally in Arena Football. I broke it on Mother's Day. At the end of the season, I found out the coach told the CFL scouts, because it was a new team that was about to expand and growing, told the coaches that I had a mental issues and that I wasn't ready to go up to the CFL. So after that season, I ended up homeless again. Found out what he said, quit the team, ended up homeless in Dover, Delaware. The coach that I broke the single game sack record on Mother's Day was on Facebook, and I was once again writing suicidal messages on Facebook, and I was homeless in Dover, Delaware. When I went down there, he offered me a position on the team in Harrisburg, Hershey, Pennsylvania. Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, Marcus Colston Arena team. He put me up in the house. I started working at the Giant grocery store. He picked me up from Dover, Delaware on the side of a Tucker Hill gas station, take me to the house. I work out. One day I'm in the gym, I'm doing power cleans, and my back give out. I go to a doctor. They say, Will, you got an L1 vertebrae crack. You'll never play football again. Your career is over with. My football career was over with. I never told the coach. I went out there. I was getting ready to play football. If I played this season, I would have been a vegetable, Mr. Brown. 8 days before the season started, Marcus Colston closed the team down, shut the team down. The team no longer existed. God did not allow me to play. I did not play football ever again after that day. He shut it down. The coach brought me in to be a defensive lineman coach in Reading, Pennsylvania. A teacher came up to me after the game and said, how much do you charge to speak? Not how much do you charge to speak, but will you speak to a group of my young men at my local Reading Intermediate High School? I went and spoke to them. Within 5 minutes. They was in tears, King. After I finished the speech, I was walking back to the hotel, had a 4 or 5, was about to blow my brains out. Teacher called and said, Will, how much you charge to speak? I said, 100, Miss Davis. $100, $75, something like that. I went into the library in the free computer room at the Abraham Lincoln Hotel in Reading, Pennsylvania, where I sneak in at. The people in the kitchen will give me food. That's why I say God was protecting me and taking care of me the whole time. When I went to the room, I typed in motivational speaker. Les Brown popped up on the screen. He was speaking in the Georgia Dome. He was talking with so much power and so much charisma, how he kept a smile and talked about his pain. I went into the school 2 weeks later, did an assembly, standing ovation. 10 years later, Mr. Brown, over 850 million views on YouTube, the #1 football speech in the world, the first speaker to speak during Milan Fashion Week for Philip Plein and Paris Hilton, a platinum album, over 1 million streams independently, a best-selling book in Walmart, Target, and Barnes & Nobles. I did it all with God.
I got to jump in. Listen, man, I have to jump in because as we talk about men's health and mental health, if it were not for God, you would have snapped a long time ago. I need the viewers and the listeners to get the whole theme of what you've been talking about tonight. Everything led back to God. Everything led back to God. Everything led back to God. Everything led back to your faith. You lost your mother, and it was real critical. You lost your mother. Oh, man. I mean, you went out and broke the sack record on Mother's Day. You were homeless here, homeless there. But it was your perseverance. It was your resilience. It was the fact that you would not give up and give in. I need the viewers to know tonight. I need the listeners to know tonight. You got to have faith. You can't give up. You can't give in. You got to hold on to your why. You got to hold on to your why. You got to be passionate about your why. You have to understand you have purpose. William King Hollis is not here by accident. There are no coincidences. The same man he talked about just now, internationally acclaimed speaker Les Brown, said, there are no coincidences. That's when God chooses to remain anonymous. And here is William King Hollis, who charged $100 10 years ago, $100, and today he can get $10,000. Do you understand what I'm talking about? I'm talking about the power of God. I'm talking about the power of faith. I'm talking about the power of perseverance. I'm talking about the power of resilience. I'm talking about the power of the love of HBCUs, a historically black college and university, whether it was Clark Atlanta University, whether it was Tuskegee University, my alma mater, the Savannah State University, HBCUs, where he talked about family. He talked about the people. He talked about second chances. He talked about the love. So anybody out there who's considering an HBCU, what you heard from this brother tonight, you shouldn't be thinking about it. You should be running to apply to that HBCU. That's where the love was for him. He was nurtured. He was loved. He had a family that wasn't his biological family. But watch this. They didn't share the same DNA, but they shared the same DNA, divine natural assignment. William.
Yes, sir.
This is so powerful because you had thoughts of taking your own life.
Yes, sir.
Your mother lost her life.
Yes, sir.
And you had thoughts, and I'm talking about just repeated thoughts of taking your own life, and God always puts somebody there to say, don't give up. What was the main factor in you not committing suicide? Because listen, let's be real. Had you committed suicide, millions would not be as inspired as they are today. Millions would not be as empowered had you decided to take your life. What was that one thing that kept you from taking your life?
It was a cold night in Huntsville, Alabama. Rarely is it cold nights in Huntsville, Alabama. And I'm sitting outside of my first apartment. I just got put out of it because the apartment was condemned. This was my first apartment. Now I love it. It wasn't in the suburbs, but it was my first home from being homeless. And I'm sitting in the back of my Taurus, and I get a phone call, and they said, William, we want you to fly to Milan and speak. And that night, it was like I heard a whisper from God. He said, trust me. And I broke down in tears, and I thought it was fake. I thought the call was a prank call. And they said, William, we need you to get to the airport in the morning. We're flying you to Italy. So I went to the airport in Huntsville, Alabama, and they flew me to Italy, man. I went from sleeping in the Taurus to a 5-star hotel to Paris Hilton standing in front. I'm speaking right in front of Paris Hilton. Every celebrity, Gucci, Fendi, everybody and their mama is coming up meeting me because I'm about to make history as the first speaker to speak live during Milan Fashion Week. And that's when I knew that God has truly given me a gift. That like I could tell everybody on this line, everything I have came from this. No product, no major managers, no, really, God has been my manager. God has been my everything. I thank him every day. He gave me a beautiful wife who also went to Tuskegee. And I just watch him work. I didn't design my life.
That's right.
He did.
Yes.
And when the passion that I have now is kind of natural, because the same love and passion I have for saving my mother, now I have that same love and passion for saving my people. And it's no difference. God just took that, and he didn't take my love away. He pointed in another direction. So now every day I wake up and I think about recreating the mindset of African-American people and doing it through my voice, through the vibrations of my voice, by making them understand that no matter where you are in life, no matter how far you fall, God is always going to catch you right before you hit the ground. But you can't be afraid to go down those stairs and walk back up those stairs with your gift. And when it comes to suicide, they say, Will, how are you still living? It was God. All praise be to Allah. It was God, his teachings, his lessons, his love, his angels that he placed around me when I wasn't even worthy of them. So I'm the kid that everybody look at and say, hey, how can this kid who couldn't read till he was 16 years old get a phone call from Les Brown? How can this kid fly to Italy and make history? How can Grant Cardone and Tom Ballou and these multimillionaires be so fascinated at this young man? It's because I work for God and my promotions is everlasting. And I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, when you work for God, your promotions are everlasting. You will be promoted to the day you died. Even after death, you will be promoted.
Wow.
And the secret to it all, ladies and gentlemen, it is serving. Ladies and gentlemen,
Yes.
It is serving with everything you have in your body. That's what life is all about. It's about serving. Those who give are the people who reap. It's two types of business people in this world, ladies and gentlemen. It's pickers and it's planters.
Teach.
You see, pickers only gonna eat for a moment.
Yes.
But a planter gonna eat for a lifetime. So at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, I gotta ask you, what are you planting? And what are you stuck in the past with? I was talking to my brother, Keith L. Brown, and I said, when the family tree is rotten, what do? You plant another one.
Come on.
Ladies and gentlemen, and you nourish it better. You
Yeah.
love it better. You water it better. You put God around it and it will not fall. Because we believe that we can create things without God. God has the power to knock down everything that you have in front of him. So you can see him and make you understand that the foundation starts with him. And I ain't talking about just when you go to you go to church on Sunday and you're feeling good and you want to talk and feel good. I'm talking about loving your brothers and sisters. I'm talking about the brothers and sisters that's sitting at the McDonald's twinkling quarters at the desk. Give them $10. Give them $8. Don't embarrass your people. Uplift your people. That's what it's all about. And when we talk about these deaths with African-American men, it's because we give more energy towards a conviction of the murder than stopping the murder. If you put young kings like myself and other young brothers around the world, the difference between these days is that our mentors has become our competition. I was watching an episode of Boardwalk Empire, and in Boardwalk Empire, Al Capone, it was a scene where Al Capone was talking to this Jewish man. The Jewish man told Al Capone, he kept calling him a boy. Al Capone said, why do you keep calling me a boy? Why do you keep calling me a boy? And the Jewish man replied, as long as you wear the hat of a boy, you'll always be perceived as a boy. And what we have a problem with right now, all our men is walking around dressed as boys. So our young boys don't know what a man looks like.
Come on, man. Listen, don't you
understand?
Listen, look, man, look, I could be on here with you all night, man. Man, this is so powerful. I can be here with you all night. We got about 10, 15 minutes left, but let me say this, man. No. This, what you're talking about now, man, you're talking about legacy right now in this moment. You're talking about building legacy right now in this moment. And one of the things I want to say when you talk about family, you know, they always say blood is thicker than water, right? But sometimes blood clots, but water flows. Sometimes blood clots, but water flows. So there was a lot of water in your life, Doc. A lot of people who weren't your blood, but they were your water. They helped you to flow. And as I listen to you, man, I'm going right back to this rock, brother. Right back to this rock, okay? Right back to that rock of that passion that you have. I need my viewers to understand you can bring this passion to your school. You can bring this passion to your family advocacy agency, your faith-based institution, your college or university. This is a man who travels all over the world and he has the goods. And one thing he said was, God is his manager. God is his agent. God is his foundation. I got to say this, man, because we're talking about mental health, primarily mental health amongst Black males and Black men. And by the way, you're listening to two Black men tonight because we were born male, but manhood is a choice. Would you agree? We were born male, but manhood is a choice. Let me say this once again, man, because these are some powerful nuggets you dropping. This is a powerful word you dropping. Number one, your faith. Anybody who's suffering with mental health right now, you don't know which way to turn, man, you got to turn to God. Your faith is so important. Number two, what is driving you? What's driving you that will help you to not take your life? For you, it was your mother. For you, it was your sibling. For you, it was just helping people and loving on people. For you, it was Halo, the daughter, the Halo, man. You know, a Halo is divine. So you always had a why. For those of you who are battling mental health right now, mental health issues, go get you some help. Talk to somebody. It doesn't make you weak. Nah, not only did he pray about it, but he got off his knees and he did something about it. He did some work. So you got to work to keep your mind right. Another, stay away from negative people. Come on now. Stay away from those toxic people, right? Detoxify your life. Stay away from those toxic people. Hang around people who affect your life, not who infect your life. Did you hear? Go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
I want to tell you people, I want to tell you this, the people that's struggling with suicide right now, I want you to know this, that the Savior that you're looking for, and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad spoke of this, God is us. We are God's. God is within us. He is not a spook. He is within us. So what you're looking for is inside of you. Les Brown told me one time, he said, Will, the reason why people don't reach their true potential in life is because of the things they think they need. But I want to tell you that you have everything you need. Saving yourself from suicide is going to start with you. You digging down into your body, into your soul, and not running from your pain, but running towards it. A lot of us pick up the blunt, we pick up the liquor, we pick up whatever substance we can pick up every day just to cover that pain up. And that's like putting bricks on a shallow shelf. It's going to cave back in. I know the pain of molestation, the pain of not being loved by your father or your mother, and having to go on with your life, and deep down you're dying inside. But let me tell you that the thoughts and pain that you feel is not for you. The thoughts of trauma that you feel is not your thoughts. It is the thoughts of that dead family tree. So what if I told you that the pain that you're feeling never was for you? It was just the pain that came from a family that was in pain. Now, today, let's be the new plant, the new seed of a new family tree. And it's going to start with you. Because if you go and if you take your life, the world's going to miss something that nobody else could have gave to it but you.
Wow.
So I hope that you listen to us today.
Yeah.
Stay with us today and understand the number one key to surviving it all is going to God and giving your life to him. Because let me tell you this, if the temple's dirty, God can't dwell there. But if you give him 21 days of fasting, pray to him every day. I ain't talking one time. I'm talking about 3-4 times a day. And I bet you hear him. Give your life to him. Give your life to him. Put your career in his hands, and he'll transform your life. That's why William Hollis has never paid for a speaking program or a speaking certificate, because I got mine from God.
Yes, sir. Come on,
Let's
man.
go.
Come on. Come on. This is Historically Black Sense. Uncle Keith's Corner, man. This is what we're going to bring to the platform. William King Hollis. He said it. Go to God. And listen, let me say this. Real men do cry. There was a moment when William was talking, and he talked about his mother, and he started to get choked up, right? And I know this brother cries. And so I'm going to tell you this, especially for black men and black males, real men do cry. Let us stop dehumanizing our young boys by telling them that real men don't cry. And to dehumanize means we're turning them into animals. We're taking human beings and we're turning them into animals. Just like this. You see this right here? You see that picture? You see the picture right there? That's what we got to do. Lift our boys up. Lift our boys and girls, and let our boys know they can cry. Let them know that they can express themselves. That's why we have a William King Hollis, because he cried in the midnight hour. He cried out to God, but he was resilient. He never gave up. He never gave in. And God always put people in his life to uplift him, to inspire him, to empower him. And guess what? Every one of you have the same gift, no matter where you are. This is Uncle Keith's Corner. This is Uncle Keith's Corner, man. Listen, when you're sitting around that dinner table tomorrow, remember what I said. Talk to our young black males. Talk to our black boys. Talk to our black girls. Tell them to love themselves. Tell them to believe in themselves. Tell them to be proud of themselves, and let them know that they are geniuses. And when somebody asks them, why are you a genius? Because there's a gene in us. It's historically black. There's a gene in us, man. And so William King Hollis, man, I want you to give some final thoughts. But before you do that, man, give us your social media. Give it, look, because they need, listen, you need to be followed on every platform. There's some people out here that we're following, man, and they shouldn't be followed. They're not worthy of the follow, but you are worthy of the follow tonight. And listen, somebody's mental health was improved tonight because of you. Somebody's mental health was enhanced tonight. Somebody discovered their purpose through you tonight. Somebody's life has changed tonight. Somebody made a decision tonight. I was telling my nephew, he said, man, I'm not ready to make a decision. I said, you just made one. I said, you just made one. So somebody made a decision tonight to live and not die. And that's because of the word you put forth and the transparency and the honesty and the inspiration and the empowerment and the teaching and the knowledge that you put forth today. So listen, give us all of your social media platforms and then give us a word, one word that's going to help everyone run, as you say, towards their dreams. Go ahead, brother.
My website, ladies and gentlemen, is kinghollis.live. kinghollis.live. That is my website. My Instagram page is William King Hollis. My Facebook page is William King Hollis. Also, my YouTube channel is William King Hollis. Lock in with me on Instagram. Shoot me messages. I love to collaborate. I love to work with my people. I've never really been the Hollywood type. I've always been the neighborhood type. I love my people and I love working with the people because the people is who made me. And I thank every single one of you guys for listening to the show tonight. But I want to leave you with this, that ladies and gentlemen, your pain will be your biggest blessing. So embrace it. Don't run from it. Embrace it. Because behind that pain is your beautiful future. The things that you dream about, the things that keep you up at night. That's what comes behind the pain. You understand, in our neighborhoods and growing up in our situations, we're going to have to be stronger than the counterparts. And some of us going to have to be men and women before we become one. But what if I told you that you're strong enough to go further? And you're strong enough to conquer anything you ever wanted? And that this skin complexion, like the Honorable late great Marcus Garvey said, is a symbol of national greatness. Gold runs through this melanin. Greatness runs through this melanin. And I want to leave you with this. Imagine a royal king walking through a desert. And as he walks through the desert, a group of men hit him upside his head, knock him out cold. And when he knock him out cold, they take his crown, they take his jewelry, they take his culture, they take his memory. And when that man wakes up, that man no longer knows who he is. That's us as a people. But guess what? We remember. And we only getting started.
Yes, yes, man. Look here, man. We always say GOODJOB. Good job, good job. I have to give you that GOODJOB. Good job, good job. As you spoke life into kings and queens tonight. And I was so honored. And you got to come back, Doc. Look, I say little bruh, nephew, because I say it with all humility.
Oh man, we got a link for lunch or dinner or something.
Oh man, we got we're gonna get Les Brown back with us, to do
yes.
That's how we do it. That's my look, man. Les is like an uncle to me. He knows I love him. That was my first coach, man. But tonight a change occurred. Tonight there was a paradigm shift in the universe, and I'm so honored that you were here tonight. Y'all follow this man of purpose, this king, on all social media platforms. Keith L. Brown _ right here on Instagram, Keith L. Brown _ And man, I'm just so delighted, ignited, and excited. But remember what I told y'all about tomorrow. Don't let it just be about eating. Y'all speak life into those young kings and queens. Speak life into the promising prince. Speak life into the promising princesses. That's all he did tonight. And guess what? He is worthy. So once again, he can come to your schools, your family advocacy agencies, your faith-based institutions, your colleges and universities. William King Hollis, talking about running to your dreams. He said God. Everything starts with God and everything ends with God. And whatever you do, get rid of your ego, because ego stands for edging God out. Historically Black Sense. Historically Black Sense. Uncle Keith's Corner. Historically Black Sense. The #1 platform for everything HBCU. We've been talking about mental health, and he took you through a journey where he could have been insane, but guess what? God kept his sanity intact so that he could motivate, elevate, and empower the masses. Man, I got to close out like this because it is powerful. Change is coming because we got William King Hollis and others. Change gonna come. Change gonna come, man. I need y'all to listen to this. Change gonna come. Change is gonna come. The change is on the inside of you. It's on the inside of you. William King Hollis, born by the river, in a little tent. Oh, but guess what? Just like that river, William King Hollis has been running ever since. Yes, it's been a long time coming for this brother here. Long time coming, but guess what? He knows a change gonna come. And for you, a change is gonna come. Keith L. Brown, Uncle Keith's Corner. I love y'all. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone. Put God first. Never give up. Never give in. Go from impossible to impossible. Y'all show your love. Show your love for this internationally renowned speaker, William King Hollis. Tune in every Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Facebook Live, YouTube, Historically Black Sense, StreamYard. Oh, I'm loving y'all. I'm giving you a hug, William. Brother, I'm giving you a hug, King, because I love you. We're signing off. We're signing out. Continue to be empowered, not devoured. A change gonna come, and the change is you.
Right.